Madam, can we start? Yeah, let me start all over. The Army Secretary, Minister of Works, our boss, the President of CORE, that's the engineering regulators, very important directors, deputy directors, very dear friends of the ministry and dear contractors, the press. I decided to do this meeting with all the contractors handling our projects all over the nation and the directors that are supervising them, so that we can, before the public, clear a number of issues. There are a number of sponsored write-ups, all kind of stuff against the new policies of the Ministry of Works. I just read one yesterday when they said, if you do concrete road, cement will go to 9,000. And the people that were used to sponsor it are actually the Cement Traders Association, which is a very good one. There have been other punches. Both the staff and the contractors have been talking to all kinds of big men in the country. Some even I read where they say I'm selecting some certificates of big men I'm paying. I want to say publicly that there is no outer of truth in any of such. I'm not delaying anybody's payment unduly. And so it is very important that I make, the policies of Federal Ministry of Works very, very clear. Number one is we put God first in whatever thing we are doing. And God here represents the people. The people. The people. And I received instruction also from Mr. President. This is my line of instructions. And then, of course, from the ministry, from big men, and so on and so forth. That is the lines of my protocol in terms of who instructs me. Meaning that if there are decisions I take, God Almighty or Mr. President can cancel it. I am not on my own. I say this so that if you want to blackmail me or you want to report me, you should know the proper avenue to report me. Don't waste your time reporting me to any other persons other than God Almighty and Mr. President. But one thing is very clear. If I'm doing anything for my own benefits, whatever thing I'm doing will fail. But if I'm doing it for the benefit of the people, no matter the amount of blackmail, no matter the amount of fights, the will of God will always prevail. I traveled to Southwest. I'm not totally unhappy with the ongoing projects there and the supervision. I gave them 80% pass mark, but not without my reservation about how long these projects will last. But at least the ministry people, the directors are doing their work. I'm happy about that. I've been to part of North Central, very dissatisfied with the quality of work, very dissatisfied with the supervision offered by the Ministry of Works. Then I went to Kaduna, and I disagreed with the design of Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano Road. I disagree with the design. It's an overkill, but I'm doing nothing about it. All I said is, I want to do from kilometer 0 to 38 with concrete because it's on the groundwater level base. And so I want to see if I can do that. If the contractor encourages me to happen. If they don't encourage me, they are very mighty people. Maybe they may have their way. But I must always have my say to say these projects, give it 3-4 years, they will fail. It's just for me to have my say. A lot of you are mighty people that will always have their ways, but you won't stop me from having my say. That there is no project being constructed right now in Nigeria that is going to last for 7 years. There's no. And the question is, are we just going to be maintaining or reconstructing our roads after even 10 years? Is that what this country is going to be doing? And that is actually what we have been doing. Between Abuja to Benin, through Lokoja, all the stretch of the roads are on contract, ongoing. Beautiful policy of the last administration. But how much of the roads are motorable? I traveled through that by myself, and I shed tears for the kind of pains our people are passing through. I stayed there for 14 hours. 14 hours. I started 10 a.m. I go to Benin 2 a.m. the next day. And I was very happy I experienced the pains. President Bola Tinubu said I must travel through all the projects so that when I brief him, I will tell him the truth. And that is exactly what I am doing. He has seen some of the failed projects and he is feeling so sad. President wants to give smiles and renewed hope to Nigerians. He's very determined to do it. He's a divine president. God is on his side. Those who think that distracting him are wasting their time. And it is high time Nigeria should recognize somebody God sent to help them. This is one president that if we fail to support him, it becomes the last hope for this country. I've seen him, his antecedents, I've watched him, I've seen his commitment. No minister puts up the number of hours Mr. President puts on every day. I know it's a very difficult thing to, change our habits. But the funny thing is that the Nigerian people, they do not call the Ministry of Works. They do not call the civil servants. They do not call the contractors. They call the governors. They call the ministers. They call the president. If president gives out a contract and pays money and asks the ministry to supervise and they fail to do that, if the projects are jacked up beyond the funding capacity of the federal government, whom are we going to blame? I watched today the TCU's chairman and the channel, and they alluded, the fact that I said I'm not happy with the supervision of our works by the Minister of Work Staffs. And he said it's the government. If a civil servant is on the way of the progress of government, he should be shown the way out. And of course, it's my policy. It's my policy. And I will plead with the press to report exactly what I'm saying. Because in Lagos, we were discussing about, Abuja to Lagos Super Highway. And we are at the concessioning level. What I saw is that, Advanced Engineering Company has been awarded the contract. What kind of, press is that? The same thing with the Lagos Port Harcourt Calabar Super Highway, that we are just at the third meeting. And you say it's been awarded to, high-tech engineering. This is not doing good to our country. the press is not being fair to our country. Because you have to report exactly what it is. There is so much havoc being done to this country by social media, false information, sensational, reportage. God forbid if the country collapses, everybody will be involved. So the oppressed man pulling the string somewhere so that the country will go down, and they pulling, this one is pulling. It is not helping our country. Look at the US. It is their country first. In our contracts, we have provision to maintain the roads. While with the civil servants, the leaders of Ministry of Works not compel the contractors to maintain the roads. People are suffering. I had to go through the many communities to be able to reach Benin. Our expatriate contractors, this cannot happen in any of your countries. It cannot. Anywhere there is maintenance of job or road is going on, the first thing that is done is the convenience of the people. We are being taken for a ride. We are being taken for granted. You believe you are doing us favor. You are not doing us favor. This is business. And this attitude must stop. Whether you like me, you hate me, it's not my business. The attitude must stop. We must be respected. We must be respected. I've directed that if you're a project manager on any of our contracts, whether you're expatriate or you're a Nigerian or Togolese or African, you must be registered with CORE and not less than 15 years experience on road construction. And I'm warning the directors, regional directors, not to fail to carry out this instruction. In every project during bidding, the contractor will submit the list of equipment he has. He will submit his financial status. He will submit the list of jobs done before. He will submit the technical, bid on the qualification of his personnel. Ladies and gentlemen, go and find out. If you did that, the bid, and check what is on site, find out whether you can get 10% of that. Find out. And so whom are we to blame? The directors and civil servants. How many contractors are using sheet foot rollers to do the compaction and subgrade? How many equipment are on site of these contractors? One contractor has 27 projects. How will he do it? How will he do it and do it well? I'm not against anybody, but the present cost of the projects, you are hiding under VOP with the ministry, and you believe that anybody is a fool. Nobody is a fool. There is no job that has a funding right now, because you are hiding under VOP. You don't want to expose the real cost of the project now. And when you expose it, there is nobody even with the initial unit rate of asphalt plus the VOP that is going to continue with that present situation. Nobody. There's nobody. That is the reality. If the PPP says you cannot increase your contract, it's telling lies. You can't tie a man hands and legs and ask him to run. If the NLPC said the contract is fixed, that nobody, it's a lie. That is not the truth. You have to give what belongs to the contractors to them. And then you now tax them to abide by the tenets of the projects, of the contract, of the agreement, of the general specification of contract, and general conditions of contract. Documents will be sent to BPP for no objection. It will stay for 6 months. How will the contractors go to do additional job you directed them to do without a backup authorization? And I've asked the BPP, you set up in each MDA, your own department. Why would that department get what the main MDA has done and send to you and you sit on it for 6 months? Unless Mr. President does something about the bureaucracy, his lofty intention to help this country may not totally be achieved. Engineering requires attention. If a contractor writes for certain advice or seeks certain permission, he must have it within 24 hours. He has equipment on site, he has personnel he's paying for. But we keep their files. But we forgot something. Whatever till a man soweth, he will reap. We are ministers, we are directors. It is not forever. You will still come out and experience what the contractors experience. And at that point, you begin to reap. If you have sown good, you reap good. If you have sown wickedness, it will not escape. There are certificates before me, there are memos to go to Federal Executive Council. There are argumentations. I am not signing. I'm saying it before the press. I am not signing. If you want me to sign, you do what I've directed to be done. And it's because the directors have refused to tell you the truth. That's why I've called you to tell you the truth. If your project was 30 billion and it became 120 billion, I want to know how. But if there's somebody else who can continue signing on that project and we finish it, I'm not interested. I'm not probing you. But if as a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and if certificates are interims, and if certificates are cumulative, it means that the moment I sign, I've owned it. And if I have to own it, I'll be able to explain to Mr. President why a project of 30 billion came to 120 billion. I should be able to explain. And it's my right, no matter how much you blackmail me. It's my right to know. And how will I know? You will do a take-off sheet from the first president. From the first president. If you don't know, that's what is surveillance. You will do a take-off sheet. And during your claims on VOP, you gave us the market prices. Then during your claims, you gave us supply prices. I will not take it. I will take it. The VOP is going to be based on the market price and it's going to be based on the market price. It's not market price and then supply price. Because how do I have a baseline? Somebody will say that he's supplying us for 900,000. Another person will say it's 1,100. Where is the templates upon which I will vet? So please, if you want to do your VOP so that your papers can go on very well, it is the basic prices of items that are allowable in the VOP at the time of this, and then the basic prices at the time of claims. And we are not bound by your receipts. We will make calls. We will check our journals. That is what we use. And so I am asking all contractors to go back and do their take-off sheets, their sketches, their calculations, their site instructions, and then bring forward the status to their directors. The moment I'm clear, I will approve. If I'm not clear, I will call you and the directors. I will sit and I will say where I do not agree. So this is very clear. So if you have completed your job 100%, I'm bound to pay you. I don't need it. that if I'm going to do any approval of the ongoing jobs, this must be done. If you do it today, even tomorrow, probably on the day I'm working. If you do it, you bring it. Now, very important to do is that you have unit rates of your original contracts. You've done VOP, every year. Now, I want you to build back the new unit rates based on the VOP claims. How do you build it back? If I'm building VOP and I saw certain VOP, you do VOP on diesel. No, sir. You have to give us the diesel consumption in asphalt, diesel consumption on earthwork. And if there is another distance, you tell us. You are the one, because we want to build back the VOP is exhaustible. If it's exhausted and prices are still rising, how do you make claims? So when do we put that VOP on diesel? Diesel, you are using it for your truss. You are using it for your asphalt. You are using it for your concrete. So where do we put that VOP claims of each year? Which of the items do we put it? And so those who vetted your VOP should go back to classrooms. Because when the VOP item is exceeded, how do you now review the contract? And that's where we are now. We are at the stage that the VOP's provisions have been exceeded and prices are going up. The price of asphalt from the day I was sworn into today is no longer the same. And the next 1 month it will not be the same. So far the dollar is rising. So far the international petroleum product is rising. The asphalt will continue to rise, meaning that we have no contracts. We just have contracts we put on a spring. So the contract is dancing like this, and we are very happy about it. But it's danger for the country. The president cannot say, this is how much I will use to finish this road. And you don't know it. You know it better than me. And so I want us to do 3 things. One is to build your VOP, disaggregate your claims of diesel, and of course it will not occur in 1 day. Disaggregate them as per the project items, and then build a new unit rate. If the total contract sum is 100 naira, let me now know that X times Y in all the items put together is 100 million. In that case, you will see the new unit rate of, for example, asphalt. If your unit rate before was 6,000, and then your VOP has brought it up to 11,000, which of the contractors can honestly do 60 millimeter binder at 11,000? Nobody can do that. Nobody. My job is to speak the truth. Nobody fights for God. God must fight for himself. And so I speak the truth. And God will bring the money. I will not cheat the contractors, but the contractors will no longer cheat us. There is no binder 60 millimeter that will cost less than between 20 and 22 now. There's no bearing cost that will cost less than between 18 and 20. If the civil servants will really check the thicknesses and the mixture in the distance. The mixture says that bitumen is between 5 and 8% of the material tonnage in the distance. Who is there to know that you put between 5 and 8? If you put 5, it will not work. If you put 8, it will be bleeding. So what do? Trial text. The bitumen are adulterated, and you say you are putting bitumen modifier, beautifier, codifier. Is it the same thing with overseas? Do they put modifier, codifier, and all these things in their own? The answer is no. The answer is no. We have been brainwashed. We have the best quality bitumen deposit in Ondo, running to Ogun State. Let the importers of bitumen develop it. So that is about augmentation. And then, of course, the increment in the project scope. Let me tell you, I've said that to you, that you can go back to your contracts. Article 2 gave us the powers to scope down the project, either down or up. General conditions of contract, clause 51, which is part of Article 2 of the elements of documents constituting the contract, gave us the powers to change the scope, the quality, the quantity of your contracts. So when people say they will go to court, I say read these two sections before going to court. We could even say, oh, you are doing 100 kilometers, please stop at 2 kilometers. Is that? But we will not say so. And that brings me to the introduction of concrete roads. Unless Mr. President directs, I will not sign any new projects without the design being on concrete. That's new projects. For the ongoing projects, however, I was in Benin. From Benin to Warri, it was war. They no longer call this thing pothole, they call it boreholes. Boreholes. You see where trailers are parked 5 kilometers on the road. You see trailers falling down. You see people being kidnapped. You know, the faith I profess in one section of the Bible says that the anger of God rises above the people that do A, B, C, D. He said not only those that do them, including those that take pleasure in those that do them. So who are the people involved? The contractors, the owners of the jobs, the big men behind the jobs, the civil servants that are, approving the jobs. The truth is so bitter. But when we hear the truth and we set us free, to set us free, it's a time for our hopes to be renewed. It's a time to adopt professionalism in our jobs. The construction method in Nigeria is zero. The current boss is here. In the new lanes that are developing, you clear the ground, you bring good laterite, you put on it, you use flat roller, you roll it, you continue until you get to the height of the distance. You put your sub base, you roll with flat roller, you put your base course, you roll with your flat roller. Then, you can do all this thing within 1 month. Why would the road not fair? Whether it's concrete or asphalt. This is what is going on. How many contractors have sheet foot rollers? The flat rollers are used to even the levels, they are used to even the levels, and that is only at the base cost. It does no compaction. There is what is called the dispersal distribution of load. As the load, it goes with a triangle. At a certain depth, the load has no more effect on the lower layers. It is the same thing with the flat roller. It just may be compacting 15 cm. You say that you are compacting in layers. That is not what we have directed you to do. You use the sheet foot rollers. When you pound it, when it starts stamping, then compaction has been attained. We are using dust base and we say stone base. It is not stone-based, it's dust-based. Some contract unit rate for this dust-based 54,000. It is terrible. And from the biggest contractor in this country to the lowest, they are using dust-based. We have to change our stone-based to become stone-based and not dust-based. And I'm issuing warnings to the directors. When you come to an existing road, you have no milling machine. You take away the beautiful, ingredients of the road, which is the felled asphalt. The felled asphalt still has some bitumen in it, which when properly mixed, it becomes, a sealant against water. You remove it, you take it to your distance. You say you are mixing it with chemical, you are disturbing the already fully compacted subgrade. I have directed that you mill the asphalt, you leave it there, you pulverize it with the existing one, expose it to traffic for 30 days. Put the stone base, expose it to traffic for 30 days. When there are no traffic to borrow, let your construction equipment be going there working, and let the sheet foot roller be there. 60 days we test, 30 days we test the subgrade, 60 days we test the base class before you start to put your pavements. I beg you in the name of God. There is no need, unless when directed, existing road, you remove the distance, you start loading it with distance. You start, unless it's a floodplain. Even the floodplain between Warri and Port Harcourt, you saw it. You did not raise the roads. They are all washed off, 9 points. We have to now create relief covers or use the compact to treat it. Billions of naira now. The whole route from Warri to Port Harcourt, they are totally failed. Totally failed. And in 30 days, nobody will travel between these locations. The first sections is being completed since, but it has failed. And contractors will say, well, this is the design. Most of the designs were offered by you. In a normal engineering practice, one of the conditions that is offered before the award is that you have visited the site. You've acquainted yourself with the conditions of the site. Even in building documents, you are given the opportunity to make suggestions. This is engineering. You are a big contractor and you took up a design, and you could not ask for the history, the environmental impact assessment of that location, to know that the design is on a floodplain. Then why are you different from me, local contractor? Between Port Harcourt and Akwa Ibom, there are 4 locations that the road is also built on floodplain. Big contractors are doing it. What is happening? We are putting the compact for something we would have just used a retaining wall to raise the road and then put get out of that place and put sharp sand and concrete it. We are spending. We are spending. So, I'm wondering whether the expatriate firms that we are used to are still in this country. I'm wondering. I need to tell you the truth. I'm not a daft. My life has been developed along construction and engineering line. One guy says, you speak the truth, you die. You lie, you die. So he will speak the truth and die. But me, I'll speak the truth and live. There is no security trade. I have not gotten warning and all this stuff. But people will be paying with their lives if they get funding. because what you give is what you take. I'm on a mission sent by Asiwaju and God Almighty, and there is nothing anybody can do about it. We are fighting God by killing people. It's blood of people we are drinking. And I will not partake in it. These are the sins against God that affect the children, affect the generations, affect the health of the people. We intentionally suffer the people. Now I've directed that all roads, if you went and they did everything you did and 210 kilometers of road, you must maintain the 110 kilometers throughout the life of the project. You must maintain it. I don't want to hear the money is finished. The money cannot finish. You must maintain it. We have B1. A project that I pay for 5%, you gave out the whole B1 to civil servants. If it comes, I will only allow B1 according to the progress of the work. That's what I will do. So you go and recover your money from civil servants. Yes, you recover the money from them. And do not release B1 to civil servants again. If they want, they should apply to the permanent secretary. The permanent secretary will give approval for B1 to be spent. What are they spending it on? When they cannot supervise the project and compel contractors to, commit to the professional ethics of engineering. Any contractors that defies these new policies, we will stop the work. You don't know it more than us. We all went to engineering school. It is on our paper sent to us to read. Now we read. And the same one we read. So we are on the same page. Nobody should deceive anybody. There's nothing like big contractor, small contractor. It's the people that make the company. So nobody should feel inferior or superior in this business. After all, you trained us. Did you train us not to be like you? Or better? So let us discuss engineering. Don't discuss history with me. It's engineering. And so, these are the policies. And I've said most of the projects must be redesigned on concrete. Must. If you think that you are going to use price to frighten me, I've done calculation for the cost of the thing. If it is strong steel road, this is how much it is. I don't expect concrete paver from strong steel road. If it's strong steel road, some of them that doesn't have this, you can use your mixer to cast it. Now, strong A road, we are using reinforcements. And there is no way you can import a paver in less than 6 months. So we give you 6 months. What are you going to be doing now in 6 months? Is to adapt the real construction method. And that by preparing your subgrade, your surface, and your base course. And allow them for traffic. 2 months, you don't go. So to say. Now, if 2 months, are gone, and then you are ready to cast, and the equipment is not there, what about the shoulders? You are not casting the shoulders with paper. So you can use your mixers to cast the shoulders. 2.75, 2.75 as the case may be, or 1.5 and 2.75 for the organized road, or 1 meter against 2.75 for the organized road as the case may be of the design. You can do that. And then when the paper comes, you just put 7.3 on a very well-regulated and compacted carriage pavement. You go. Don't use cost to frighten me. Concrete pavement now, reinforcement, we all know how much it is. Reinforcement is about 600,000, 550 to 600 in the market. Shipping vary from location to location. Sand vary from location to location. Labor, maybe slight variation. Your overhead, procurement has already penciled it down at 30%. If you are using calibrated, budget plans, there is a cost for it. If you are using paper, there is a cost for it. If you are using locally made budget plans where you use a mobile mixer, there is a price for it. And our directors know these things. If they are not giving, come to me, I will give you. So that if you are building your rates and you want to use it to frighten me, then there is a fight. Because you have to tell me that I will not read engineering before I will agree to your price. But I am here to make you happy. And I'm happy, that Mr. President is committed to this road revolution. That is good news for you. That is good news for you. The reasons why projects are not completed is that you start a project of 30 billion, you jack it to 120 billion. What the federal government is counting is 30 billion. That is the appropriation. The appropriation that is 2 billion, 1 billion, 500 million in a year. But your project is, 100 billion. Are we honest here? It means you are just sharing the money with the owners. Well, we'll be honest. I've also, hinted that I intend to talk to National Assembly. If they want us to continue with the ongoing projects, we continue. But if they are going to bring, new projects, some projects 50 million, 30 million, 250 million, and these are projects that will cost not less than 30 billion. Then we have to sit down and agree so that we stop the ongoing projects and we face the new ones, this 30 billion to 20 billion. I've looked at 2003, appropriation for Ministry of Works, and I shedded tears. There's nothing we can do with it. 50 million, 30 million, 500 million. The billion items are not more than 5. I know they must do something for their constituencies. But we can put these things in FEMA and then allow real projects in the Ministry of Works to go on. That's what we can do. But they must also give us money, what I call seed money, emergency money. As we talk now, 9 locations in East West Road are being threatened. 3 bridges, though in road jobs, have collapsed there. Yesterday, 2 bridges in Enugu collapsed. Go to Enugu now, the whole town is locked up. You go to Onitsha, we inspected one when we were there. But today, 2 have collapsed. It is happening all over. In Lokoja there, the same thing. A stretch of 1 kilometer, nobody can pass there. And that's where South people, Southeast people, and even Dangote Cement, that's where they pass to Abuja. We are helpless. We have problem with Temple Bridge in terms of resurfacing the top and the remedial works underwater. No money to do it. All the motions of the National Assembly for interventions, they are there, but there is no money to do it. We have 260 projects costing 217 billion that needs immediate attention through the states, that there is no money. We will also be begging the National Assembly to return about 530-something billion, which the appropriation of 2022, on the ongoing projects. And of course, they had to give it to Mr. President for palliatives, which is very important, because the lives of the people first. Very ingenious of Mr. President. But after they have eaten, they have to move. And so, since the palliative is going on, and do not buy the bullshit that the palliatives are not going on, the governors are doing fantastically well. Labor should be reasonable and go to the governors and find out. Yes, I support that their salary should be increased. But you have to understand that this is our country. A country we inherited, where 90% of the earnings of government is being used to pay debt. Should we not, as committed people of this country, work together with Mr. President to find solution to a situation we have found ourselves? You say you are going on strike. I hope that Ministry of Works, if there is any strike, should not try to go on strike. Because you have caused pains to the people of Nigeria. You have to stay with me for us to solve the problem. Because if we go on strike, I will make some of you to be arrested. We go on strike when we have solved the mess we created by not supervising the projects, by jacking up the projects down reasonably jacked up. So there's so much motion and there's no movement. And then you will call president, you will call governors, you will call. Whom are they calling? Between Dokoja and Benin. Has anybody called the ministry, the civil servants, or those supervising it? I went through 3.5 regions. I didn't see our ministry staff. So in Southwest that I saw the controllers being in charge of their projects and the controller and the director. Civil servants don't come to work. The big men, they come anytime they want. I had meeting yesterday, many of them did not come. No excuse. They will get paid. They will get paid. If God and you people allow me to stay one, I would have brought discipline in the business. Because I know I'm very seriously in for a fight. You're fighting with your staff, you're fighting with the contractors and the big men behind them. But I've, activated prayer warriors, both Muslims and Christians. So as you are fighting me, they are fighting too. Until we all come to the same page, the reviewed hope agenda of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the Vice President of Nigeria. And so that's all I have for you, believing that we, of course, I have said that the supervisors of this our projects are going to be consultants. We get consultants to supervise our projects and we pay them from the one. And so, with this, if I have offended you, I offer my unalloyed apologies. All these apologies. But we have to work together. Whatever help you need. Let me also finally assure contractors. Nobody is going to mark your scripts. There's no contractor in market script that can do the work. There are a lot of unforeseen. In the course of looking at your papers, we must show this. We must turn blind eyes, to certain things that will not injure government or the people. So they are short. I've been a contractor, I've been a consultant, I've been administrator. I'm here with you. Whatever thing you want to call me, but don't call me that in my presence. It will be when you pat my back. But that is it. That's the reason why I called this meeting. So the civil servants, the contractors, the press, I'm open for to answer any question. So that we will stop all this blackmail. We have outlawed the use of surface dressing on the shoulders. The ministry will never do surface dressing on any of our works any longer. You all know, and we've been doing it. Now, before you finish, these shoulders are all washed off. So, in that place, we could use concrete with PVC mesh to treat our shoulders, and then allow asphalt to go ahead, provided we can have a contract that we can predict. So this is very important. But in the southern part of Nigeria, It's better I don't do the job than that I do it on asphalt that I know will fail. Some of you contractors are very smart. You put macadam, you put soil stabilization, you put 3 plies of pipe, then you put wearing course. You come back and complain. The road is overloaded. That's why it has failed. Which kind of brainwashing is that? Okay, let us do what high tech and Dangote is doing in Apapa Ocean, or they're doing in Lekki deep sea port. Let us see whether it will fail. Let us do what the state government did in building their 200 kilometers of ring road, in building 3,000 kilometers of roads. Some of them are federal roads. Let's do that and see whether it will fail. So, Mustafa, if I have to start jailing people, I will have to jail you too. Because they say EFCC distance log and say if you see something, you will say something. Not so. You have been seeing something that they will give you money, you will hide them. So the jail starts with you. Next person.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. Opportunity, and we quite appreciate the efforts made so far. My name is Temito Perusho. I'm the Managing Director of Duty Construction. We have been contractors with the Ministry of Works since 2009, and we have 2 ongoing projects with the Ministry, one in the Southwest and one in the Southeast. My question is twofold. The first is regarding projects that have been going on for a long time, which have been going on for several reasons, ranging from some of the things you mentioned earlier, from no to low budgetary allocations for years, sometimes waiting for certificates to be paid, taking 2 years, 3 years. These are experiences that we have had, and by the time those monies are paid, the money, if you wait for a payment for 2 years or for 3 years, or sometimes even for 4 years, by the time the money is paid, it's almost useless for the project. And so projects have dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged, and we're here trying to get augmentation, and of course augmentation is difficult, has been difficult in the past. And so we're here with these projects, invested all this time and money and energy and paying staff, and we need to find a way, in agreement with the new policy, of course, to move to concrete. That is not a challenge, but we need to find a way to now bring the projects up to date, considering all the challenges that the projects have experienced, which are completely beyond the control of the contractor. I will give one very example. In the past, when the new minister resumed, charged us to move back to site, we had at the time, I can remember very well, a 343 million certificate pending. And we went to the bank with that certificate to get invoice discount so that we can continue work instead of stopping. We got 100 million from the bank. That payment did not come, even though it was already a certificate for 2 years. By the time we were paying the bank back, even with threats of claiming our property and all of that, we paid back 148 million for the 100 million that we collected. And all of these things accumulated and we're here. We want to work. Indigenous contractors, we want to work. But we need the help of the Ministry and the Honorable Minister to help us with some of these roads, and not just give a blanket rule that if no project is old, then it has to stop. We want to work. We have people we employ, and we want to make it work. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in the event now that we want to go ahead with this new design and concrete, we can't do it alone. It has to be done through a process between the contractors and the ministry. So we want to ask, what is the process for us to begin to implement the new design, especially for ongoing projects that already had existing designs with asphalt? If we want to switch, what is the process that has now been laid down by the ministry for contractors to go through to be able to achieve that?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that's 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We develop the costing and the design, and I give it to the directors. And let me give offer warning to directors. If you delay my directive again, I'll remove you. I'll remove you. you can take my name anyway. You know, I directed them to discuss with all the contractors under them. You know, so that the cost of constructing trunk C road is different from trunk B and A. And again, the contractors are also classified. You know, the overhead of your data is not the same thing with your overhead. You know, so we must be very realistic about it. And we did meetings upon meetings upon meetings. So I expect them to, so they are doing this thing to make sure that this thing fails, but it will not fail. If I'm looking at them, they are looking at me. I will not approve anything. You know. So I have offered you what to do. Okay, from A route, we are using Y20 at 200. I can even tell you the design here. At 200, you know, and then by the shoulders, we use Y12 at 200, the shoulders. And we are using Y12 at the transverse sections, you know, at 1,000 to hold it, you know. And I saw what Hightech is doing. They are putting MC1 on the stone base, so we can put MC1, you know. So that is the design. If it's from B, from C route, you know, we use BRC, you know, to do it, you know. And this all is prepared. And if it's from B route, then we lower the and it's continuous casting, no expansion joint. And if it's from B route, we use Y16 at the carriageway, and then Y12 at this thing. What else do you need? I've allowed you to maintain your base cost till down. I'm not tampering with it. So there's nothing big in it for you to do. So I'm only changing the pavement, you know, design. I'm not changing the levels. I'm not changing the sub-base, the base cost, the sub-grade. I'm not touching them. So there's nothing big about it to do. But before you come up with that, you must come up with the updated, cost of your job today, unit rate. And then, what is the updated unit rate? What is your new unit rate? Whether you've undergone VOP or not, we need to know. And so, if I'm making memo, I have to compare the asphalt with the concrete. And you'll be shocked, ladies and gentlemen, those who say that asphalt is cheaper than concrete, they will be shocked to see that concrete is far cheaper than asphalt. And they will see that in concrete roads, we are not going to be doing a lot of variation on price, because the cement could even come down. Yes, the reinforcement may go up if we don't produce enough. The sand may go up if the local labor becomes high. The chippings may go up because maybe the diesel is going up. But you cannot compare. The increase in this concrete work is on arithmetical progression. But that of asphalt is on geometric progression. It jumps, it's exponential. It jumps because the asphalt is dancing with, of course the chipping is there too, sand is there, dust is there. But if you compare the road and cement, then you compare the bitumen, okay, the bitumen. And you find out that bitumen is affected by the dollar. You know, if there's scarcity, you can't even import. Bitumen is affected by the dynamic and volatile international oil market. So these are the issues. Now, to answer your first question, we are corporates. You go and lobby us to jack up your project. So you know the appropriation. You jack it up. You've not drank tea. You are now asking for that tea. You know. And so it's all motions, but there is no movement. You know. But let's hear that say no more. But start doing this with the sound so that I can have and give to those who need it. The public, they need it. So let's do things together so that we can give to the public. Yes. Thank you. And you see the way you are looking. You see the oil money has entered.
As well as the Secretary General of the Association of Indigenous Contractors.
Now you people blackmailed me. You fired the president and I fired back at you.
Not at all, sir.
Well, you saw it there now.
Not at all. That must have been some individuals, indigenous contractors,
Yeah, they should have come up as a body to refute it.
And that is what we're about to do, and that's why I had to stand up. And I think, because Coren is ably represented on our board of trustees, which I am one of those that made very strong presentation at the 27th Assembly. In that case, my position and the association position is we are to thank the Honorable Minister on these good initiatives, and we were so much delighted when he made the statement that all contractors are equal, and that is has always been our problem as indigenous contractors, where we have been considered.
VOP?
The VOP has been exhausted already.
That's exactly what you are saying. I will not pay, you see, when we come to do this classification, we may have about 3 different classifications. We may have the first contractors 10.
Yeah.
We can have another stage 10, okay? And then we have the last stage 10. Yeah, but when it comes to some of these things that you don't have control over, like asphalt, the difference between the overhead of the first set of contractors and the last will not be much. So I can't give somebody 11,000 naira, at a period, and I will give you 3,000. I can't do that. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that.
Right.
I'm here to correct it.
Thank you.
But you will not get the same thing with expatriates. That's very obvious. Expatriates who are expatriates. There are some expatriates you are far better than. Yes.
Thank you very much. Going forward, I think this is a renewed hope for all of us. And in this renewed hope, all our hope we have to be truly renewed. You talked about the basic rates, this is the package rate. We will be suggesting that you have a special unit that reports to you directly that sets out the benchmark market price for all.
So there is a Jordan, and our foods are also there. They have a way that doing it. I think P&D, has we want to know the rate. We know the rate every week, but we've even directed through the directors of the regions to get the basic prices of chipping in Sokoto. They are different from price of chipping in Singapore. But my directors are not doing it. Directors are people who can do your job. Don't joke with your jobs. So it's already the best. The fund secretary circulated it to them. But they're all looking at me, waiting for me to press it out.
Thank you. And on the augmentation side, we are going to appreciate it, especially for the indigenous contractor, if you have a clearly stated step to be taken.
I've told you the steps.
Yes, sir.
I've told you, let us see your invoices.
All right.
Use your invoices periodically to build, if you are claiming there are 2 sets, there is the variation of price, which is allowed constitutional. There are the instructions they give you to increase your job. Okay? But you see, if you come to tell me that earth work has risen from 10,000 to 100,000, and have some contract.
And I would say that you are around, in Iran, having listened to you in this first interaction with the stakeholders in the infrastructure sector of our country. But I want to find out something. This is not the first time we see a new regime engaging the stakeholders in the way you have done this morning. Sorry, Honorable Minister. I said this was the first time we have seen at the onset of every regime this kind of interaction with the stakeholders.
This is the
and then
don't worry about yesterday.
And then want to know, as a journalist, I'll ask the second question, but it's the first one. We have known that this endemic thing called compromise that have been a challenge which we have enumerated from one point to another.
The compromise
is responsible.
Don't put me wrong. It's not supervision. I've not said anybody's corrupt. Supervision.
What?
Supervision.
What?
No supervision.
Right.
Or did you hear something else?
Well, let me ask my question, Honourable Minister. What exactly will you do differently as I pray for your seat to be long in the Ministry of Works, to have a new face? What will you do differently? You have seen things done, contract awarded, abandoned, based on the different things you just mentioned this morning. What will you do differently after the end of your tenure? That is question number one. Because we know the system, we know how things are. Number two, sir, you mentioned that journalists, yes, some people made mistake or lack of carelessness or outright mischief, report wrongly. That is true, but not all journalists. I stand here to give you assurance that we are here to work and report the truth the way it is. But we make a request, like the visit you just did, is like you are getting a second-hand information. We are not there to see how things are.
It's the director.
If you can,
I have directed her to pick from this thing and put in her team to go round. If she doesn't do it, I'll do it.
All right, sir. That takes care of my second question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the first question of what I will do first, I've said all that I will do.
And I'm the MD of HMM Construction. The Honourable Minister, sir, I just want to clarify, because one of my projects is under NNPC. And we are in the first tranche, and up to this moment, we have not received payment. And the people that they awarded on phase 2, before they awarded my project,
They have received.
they have received.
Are you on documentation?
I'm not on documentation. Okay, no project.
You come with your director to see me.
Okay, sir.
And then we will extract it and write.
Okay, sir.
I stop all payments because there are some contractors that are due for payment here, but they have failed projects, which I say.
Contractors, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Correct is very delighted to be a party to this stakeholders meeting. Basically because we believe the Honourable Minister being one of us, so I'm saying that we are very delighted to be party to this stakeholder interaction. And basically because the Honourable Minister being one of us has shown the clear direction of bringing a new change in one of our critical sectors. And as a regulator of our noble profession, we have a lot of issues that borders around most of the items the Honourable Minister mentioned. And we are going to follow up and have a very intensive engagement with the ministry alongside with our professional bodies to be able to ensure that we narrow the gap of the existing non-compliance of many of our issues. I will basically mention some of them for noting. I'll start with the expatriates. Clearly, we have a lot of non-compliance on all the items that are in our regulations. Starting from the expatriate quota allocations, where there are a lot of bypassing by our expatriate groups, to the point of residency for the approval or renewal, and then to even take the Executive Order 5, where we have understudying of the expatriates by the local content development by our local experts. These areas have either been completely ignored by our expatriates. And so we are very excited when the Honourable Minister mentioned that we will find a way to get to them so that they register as is being practiced all over the world. And I must inform them that Nigeria has been admitted into the Washington Accord globally last June. So all the expatriates should know that we have become equals in this area of engineering regulation and engineering practice, with the developed clients. And so we will demand, as is being expected from all expatriate engineering firms that are here, to comply with the procedures. And we are going to work seriously and closely with the ministry as well as the BPP. Because one other issue that I must mention is that the clearance of firms who have not renewed their licensing, there's also some key confusion between registration and annual licensing, practicing licensing. These are two different issues. And often we see that BPP actually cleared contractors as individual firms that do not meet these standards. This we are going to also follow. Now, on the other aspects of the introduction of the reinforced concrete permits, I mentioned to the minister a while ago that there is a ministerial standing committee in this ministry that is, for the last, I think, 10 years or so, that was mandated to develop specifications on our road and bridges. And one of the options that have been put down there is, of course, the use of rigid concrete permits. And so we are going to sit down and look at what the Honourable Minister is bringing on the table to be able to do it in a scientific manner. I will say that the opportunity has been created already in the Ebonyi State, where we have a reasonable number of these permits, and so that we can evaluate and we can also assess. I'm also happy to note that the policy, who have just captured it, try to differentiate from the non-location, because we believe that this issue of introduction of a rigid permit has to be guided by location specifics and what have you. And listening to the Honourable Minister in the aspect of the north and the south, where we have stability, where you have instability, and very clearly, I think there are some hope that let us attempt to see how that can work. Correct, in its own perspective, has been restructured. In line with what the Honourable Minister is mentioning, we now have regional offices in 6 zones, and we are going to work with the structure of the ministry. We have noted what the minister is asking, and we are going to work hand in hand with NSE to see how we can, complement the effort of the directors and the directorates to have more effective supervision, if need be, in a way that is workable, that is going to be friendlier to all of us, so as to deliver, a better infrastructure for our country and for our nation. And I will say that one other aspect that Koren is very delighted is that we have already spoken with the Minister of Interior about the expatriate quota allocation, and also to the Controller General. We have spoken to them 2-3 weeks ago. We are going to also work very closely with them to really scan the aspect of the expatriates, which hitherto has been honestly a shadow in our country in terms of compliance to our national laws and regulations. We want to make sure that has changed, and we would like to appeal to the contractors, both indigenous and expatriates, to please stretch their hand for friendship, so that we work, in tandem, work closely to be able to improve the ecosystem of engineering practice and assist them to deliver, on their services and their projects. We also would would like to extend the same appeal to the ministry, especially the directors. Correct is really ready to work in whatever area that you find gaps in terms of compliance, in terms of specification. We need to work on that. And this ministerial committee that's working on the specification of road and bridges, where the current president chairs, I can see it now becoming more relevant, to be able to expand its scope in terms of not even the rigid pavement aspect, but other innovations that may come, which definitely our nation will have to identify and then key into. Having said this, I would like to congratulate all of us, especially the Honourable Minister and his team, for calling this meeting and to assure everybody that COREN, along with the professional bodies, the NSE, NATI, NICET, and NAEC, along with AKEN, will join hands with all of you to be able to improve our performances and our diligence in what we are doing. I congratulate all of us and I wish you a happy day. Thank you.
And yet, most of you are not in office. So I think we need to change our attitude because otherwise, based on the regulations in the PRS, we'll start sanctioning and adopting the necessary sanction mechanisms for those that are coming late. So please, it's important for all of us to take note. The Honourable Minister, since his assumption of duty in the ministry, has been going around the whole country to assess the nature and situation of our road infrastructure so that you can have a proper understanding. According to him, he said he spent 14 hours from Abuja to Benin because of the bad condition of the road. And that is really something that we as a ministry should be ashamed of. As professionals, we should be able to do lasting roads for the country. As a result of all these experiences, he decided to unveil a new policy direction for the ministry. In the meeting we had now, we just unveiled the policy direction because all of us are very busy, so I want to charge all their respective directors immediately after this meeting. They will go and unveil the necessary policy directions. Like we said, if you have any reservations about it, bring it up to their attention and they will inform us. But if not, because all of us promise that we are going to queue into this review policy in order for us to build a sustainable and lasting road infrastructure for the country. I think that is the main purpose why we are here. Because we have a lot of things, he has given us a lot of policy directions, a lot of what we are supposed to do and bring it up for him. I will not waste our time here, so I will charge each and every head of the department to go and have a meeting with you and unveil the policy directions to you so that you will also queue into it. Thank you. Is there anything else?
No.
So I charge all of you head of departments, go and cascade it down and then let's have the information. Thank you so much.